The whispers started like a low hum, barely audible above the usual cacophony of celebrity gossip. Then they grew, amplified by social media, until they became a deafening roar. Offset arrested. The charge? Conspiracy to commit murder. The alleged target? None other than Stefon Diggs, the man now sharing Cardi B's life, her bed, and apparently her undying affection. The internet exploded. The news, if even partially true, painted a picture so dark, so twisted that it was almost unbelievable. Offset, the Migos rapper, known for his flashy cars, his designer clothes, and his turbulent relationship with Cardi, allegedly plotting to eliminate his romantic rival. It sounded like the script of a bad movie, a melodramatic tale of jealousy and revenge. But the whispers persisted, fueled by leaked texts, cryptic social media posts, and, most damningly, Cardi B herself. For weeks, the divorce proceedings between Cardi and Offset had been a slow-motion train wreck, playing out in the full glare of the public eye. There were accusations of infidelity, bitter recriminations, and veiled threats. Offset, seemingly unable to accept that Cardi had moved on, had lashed out repeatedly, questioning the paternity of her new baby, harassing her online, and generally making her life a living hell. It was messy, yes, but sadly, not uncommon in the world of celebrity breakups. But the alleged plot against Stefon Diggs took things to a whole new level. This wasn't just about hurt feelings and wounded pride. This was about violence, about the potential loss of life. The stakes had been raised immeasurably, and the narrative shifted from a messy divorce to a potential criminal conspiracy. The first whispers of the plot emerged from an unlikely source, an Instagram model. She posted screenshots of alleged conversations with Offset, conversations that painted a disturbing picture of a man obsessed with undermining Cardi's new relationship. According to the model, Offset had offered her money to set Stefon up, to lure him into a compromising situation that would damage his reputation and drive a wedge between him and Cardi. The texts were damning. Offset, allegedly frustrated by the model's failure to deliver, reportedly wrote, "All bad, ninja. Give drop or don't come back around." The model, seemingly fearful of the potential consequences, replied, "Make sure I'm nowhere near. Delete these texts." Initially, the reaction was one of disbelief. Surely Offset wouldn't stoop so low. Surely this was just another fabricated scandal, another attempt to smear his name. But then came Cardi's cryptic social media posts, hinting at something far more sinister. She spoke of being harassed and threatened, of feeling like her life was in danger. She claimed to have receipts that would humiliate Offset, receipts that she threatened to unleash if he didn't leave her alone. And then, the bombshell. Cardi allegedly possessed proof that Offset had paid $100,000 to a hitman to take out Stefon Diggs. The whispers became a roar. The Instagram model's texts, previously dismissed as mere gossip, suddenly took on a much darker significance. Was the attempt to set Stefon up just a prelude to something far more sinister? Was Offset, driven by jealousy and rage, willing to cross the line into violence? The streets were talking. The police were reportedly investigating. And Offset, once a celebrated rapper, found himself facing the possibility of serious jail time, his reputation in tatters, his career hanging in the balance. The divorce proceedings, already a public spectacle, had become a full-blown criminal investigation, a descent into darkness that threatened to consume everyone involved. The question now wasn't just who was right and who was wrong, but whether anyone could emerge from this mess unscathed. The air crackled with anticipation. Everyone wanted to know what Cardi knew, what she had up her sleeve. Was this just a scorned woman lashing out, or did she genuinely possess evidence that could send her ex-husband to prison? Her silence was deafening, a calculated move that only served to amplify the speculation. Then she spoke. Not in a press conference, not in a carefully worded statement, but in a raw, unfiltered rant on Instagram Live. "Y'all think this is a game?" She seethed, her voice trembling with a mixture of anger and fear. "Y'all see what's happening to women every day? Getting stalked, getting harassed, getting killed? And you think I'm just gonna sit here and take it?" She paused, taking a deep breath, her eyes flashing. I've been through hell and back. But there's a difference between being tough and being stupid. This ain't about being tough no more. This is about my safety. This is about my family. And then the reveal. She didn't show the receipts, not yet, but she described them in vivid detail. Bank transfers, phone records, text messages, all allegedly linking Offset to the alleged hitman. She claimed to know the hitman's name, his address, his entire history. "I got everything," she declared, her voice dripping with ice. everything, and I ain't afraid to use it. The internet went wild. Cardi's accusations, coupled with the Instagram model's earlier revelations, painted a damning portrait of Offset, a man consumed by jealousy and willing to do anything to destroy Cardi's happiness. The hashtag number Offset Eyes Over Party began trending, fueled by outrage and disbelief. But not everyone was convinced. Some questioned Cardi's motives, suggesting that she was exaggerating the situation to gain sympathy and damage Offset's career. Others pointed to the lack of concrete evidence, arguing that the allegations were based on hearsay and speculation. Offset, for his part, remained silent. His social media accounts were scrubbed clean, his public appearances canceled. His team released a brief statement denying the allegations, calling them baseless and defamatory. But the damage was done. The court of public opinion had already rendered its verdict: guilty. As the police investigation intensified, more details began to emerge. Sources close to the investigation confirmed that a warrant had indeed been issued for Offset's arrest, although the specific charges remained unclear. They also revealed that the alleged hitman was a known associate of Offset, a man with a long history of violence and gang affiliations. The pieces of the puzzle were slowly falling into place, revealing a picture that was even darker and more disturbing than anyone could have imagined. This wasn't just a messy divorce. This was a potential criminal conspiracy, a descent into the underworld that threatened to destroy everyone involved. And at the center of it all was Cardi B, a woman caught in the crossfire, fighting to protect herself and her family from a man who seemed determined to tear her world apart. The question now was not just whether Offset would be held accountable for his alleged crimes, but whether Cardi could survive this ordeal with her sanity and her life intact. The arrest was anything but quiet. A phalanx of police vehicles descended on Offset's Atlanta mansion before dawn, sirens blaring, lights flashing, a scene ripped straight from a Hollywood crime thriller. He was taken into custody without incident, reportedly looking stunned and disoriented as he was led away in handcuffs. The charges were finally revealed: solicitation of murder, conspiracy to commit aggravated assault, and terroristic threat. The potential penalties were staggering: decades in prison if convicted on all counts. His arraignment was a media circus. The courtroom was packed with reporters, photographers, and gawkers, all eager to catch a glimpse of the fallen star. Offset, looking gaunt and weary, pleaded not guilty to all charges. His lawyer, a high-powered attorney known for representing celebrities in crisis, argued that the evidence against his client was circumstantial and unreliable, the product of a bitter divorce and a vindictive ex-wife. But the prosecution had a trump card: the alleged hitman. He had turned state's evidence, agreeing to testify against Offset in exchange for a reduced sentence. His testimony, if credible, would be devastating. The trial predictably became a national obsession. Every day brought new revelations, new twists, and new turns. The prosecution presented a mountain of evidence: bank records showing large cash withdrawals, phone records showing frequent communication between Offset and the hitman, text messages hinting at a sinister plot. The Instagram model took the stand, recounting her conversations with Offset, her voice trembling as she described his desperation to undermine Cardi's relationship with Stefon. She admitted that she had initially been tempted by the money, but ultimately backed out, fearing the potential consequences. Then came the hitman. He testified in chilling detail about his alleged agreement with Offset, how they had discussed the price, the method, and the target. He claimed that Offset had been consumed by jealousy and rage, obsessed with the idea of eliminating Stefon from Cardi's life. Offset's defense team tried to discredit the hitman, portraying him as a liar and a con artist, a desperate man trying to save his own skin. They pointed to his criminal history, his history of drug abuse, and his inconsistent statements to the police. But the damage was done. The hitman's testimony, coupled with the other evidence, had painted a damning picture of Offset, a man capable of extreme violence. Cardi B, surprisingly, did not testify. Her lawyers argued that her testimony was unnecessary, that the prosecution had already presented a strong enough case, but many suspected that she simply couldn't bear to face Offset in court, to relive the trauma of their broken marriage and the alleged threats against her and her loved ones. The jury deliberated for days, their decision shrouded in secrecy. The world held its breath, waiting for the verdict. When it finally came, it was a shock. Not guilty on the charge of solicitation of murder. Guilty on the charges of conspiracy to commit aggravated assault and terroristic threats. A mixed verdict, but a victory for the prosecution nonetheless. Offset was spared a life sentence, but he was still facing significant prison time. As he was led away in handcuffs, he turned to face the courtroom, his eyes locking on an empty seat. Cardi wasn't there. His lawyer vowed to appeal, arguing that the evidence was insufficient and the trial was unfair, but the damage was done. Offset's career was in ruins, his reputation tarnished beyond repair. He had fallen from grace, a cautionary tale of jealousy, rage, and the destructive power of obsession. And Cardi B, the woman he had once loved, was now free, finally able to move on with her life, to build a future without him. The saga was far from over, but one chapter had closed, a dark and disturbing chapter in the annals of celebrity scandal. The question now remained, could anyone truly escape the wreckage?